Yeah, and in case Raghu is also ready because he has to make it open to all the participants.
We are ready at the back end. We can go live in 30 seconds.
Fine. Once you say you are live, then I'll start.
Okay.
Okay, Rakesh,
So you have to be Facebook Live
Yes, yes.
also.
Morning, sir, and happy heart day.
Happy heart day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Let
We
our
have to
heart
start the program.
let our heart beat till age of 100 years without any text or wedding idea.
We have gone live, Mr. Kurana. You may
All
proceed.
right.
Yeah.
Good morning, namaste, and welcome to the World Heart Day. Very important day because we talk through heart, we feel through heart, we do everything through our heart. From movies, from Bollywood to Hollywood, art is full through songs, through prose, through poetry. So when singers sing, "My heart is beating," keeps on repeating, the doctor feels very happy that the patient is alive. We feel contented that yes, we are kicking. And this is the state of healthy heart that we all aspire for. On World Heart Day, it's important that we look at all the kind of heart diseases people suffer from and what, as doctors, we can work towards. It is a very important day where we are trying to send messages across the globe that as doctors, we are committed to the heart of the people and the life of the people. My name is Rajiv Khurana. I'm the founder, trustee of Lung Care Foundation. And we have also another initiative called Doctors for Clean Air, where we work with all category of doctors so that we all come together for the betterment of the people and the humanity, especially during the COVID times. Today, we are going to have a very packed schedule because many dignitaries from across India and overseas are present here who shall be sharing their experiences. Time is going to be of critical essence, and therefore it is very vital that I follow the schedule. And I'm actually badly known for that because I try to make sure that everything goes by the clock. So what we are going to be doing it, we have a schedule which is already fixed and shared with everyone. We'll try to adhere to that. And I have a special request to all the panelists to kindly adhere to each and every second. I would be giving you signals also, sirs, in case you are running a bit fast. You need to run a bit faster to complete your pointers. Another dimension is that during the course of the day, you may have certain questions. So you can always put your questions, but then make sure that kindly mention which doctor do you wish to address the question to. And these questions we shall be taking towards the end. And while those who are on the panel, I have a special request that kindly make sure that you are on the mute so that the voices do not disturb the other main speakers. What is important is that we all come collectively for a common cause. And what could be a wonderful celebration of the day if we could play a movie, a short movie, in terms of use heart to beat heart diseases. This movie, prepared by the World Heart Foundation, has actually focused on broadly three dimensions. Use heart is about using your head so that what it takes to live a heart healthy life for the better quality of life now. This is important. Second, we need to use our influence because we influence a lot many people in the society. Your loved ones, your family members, your friends, besides that, your patients and anyone else, because they all look up to you in awe. So what kind of an influence you can generate is very vital. And of course, you can also influence the government to make sure that the mitigating efforts are made in terms of all the problems which people suffer from, including air pollution, which incidentally Lung Care Foundation is fighting hard against. And your compassion in terms of looking beyond your own self in the way that supports the most vulnerable aspects of the society. I'll request Mr. Raghu to play this short video and let us start celebrating the World Lung Day. Prabhu, please.
When you are feeling close to me and you tell me you care, you know joy fills inside of me. When you tell me you're thinking about me now, more than ever before. Well, that's when I feel all can be right in the world. When you tell me freely what's in your heart.
What a beautiful video. What a beautiful rendition. What a beautiful commitment to the society. Now, taking this further forward, I'll request Dr. Manoranjan Mondal, Honorary Secretary, CSI, West Bengal, to just take 1 minute and talk about his opening remarks, please. Dr. Manoranjan Mondal.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Respected all, today is World Heart Day, the 29th September. Unlike other years, we are celebrating the day virtually by the grace of COVID-19 pandemic. My cordial welcome to our dynamic president of CSI, Dr. Ninal Kanti Das, who is going to deliver his thought-provoking talk on why and what is World Heart Day shortly. My warm welcome to Dr. P.P. Mohanan, our President-elect and Scientific Chair CSI 2020, who will elaborate on the relevance of the program. We have among us Dr. Tapun Misro, the Chief Advisor to the Chairman, Indian Space Research Organization, to grace the occasion as the chief guest of this virtual assembly. You are most welcome, sir, for making it convenient to grace the occasion in spite of your busy schedule. My cordial welcome to Dr. Masihur Rahman, the Economist and Chief Economic Advisor of Government of Bangladesh and guest of honor. The other guests of honor for the celebration are Dr. K.K. Ko, Chair-elect ACC and past President of Singapore Cardiac Society, Professor Arindam Banik, Economist and Distinguished Professor of International Management Institute. Our warm welcome to both of you, sir, on this auspicious occasion. I extend my regards and welcome to some of the stalwarts of CSI, say for example, Dr. P.K. Dev, Chairman of the Advisory Committee, Dr. B.S. Banerjee, President, CSI West Bengal Branch, Dr. Devabrata Rai, Honorary Treasurer of CSI. All of them plays important role in the celebration every year. My warm regards and welcome to all our special invitees, Dr. H.K. Chopra, Dr. K.C. Goswami, Dr. B.P. Singh, Dr. Sanjay Tagi, Dr. Rakesh Yadav, Dr. A.K. Sinha, Dr. M. Sambhuga Sundaram, Dr. P.G. Keta, Dr. G.S. Wanda, Dr. Deepak Sharma, Dr. Bihar Zakaria, Dr. Arvind Kumar, Dr. Rajiv Rana. Each of them individually are an expert in their respective field of cardiology. My special welcome to Mrs. Malavika Dotto, Chapter Convener of Indian Dietetic Association, Bengal Chapter, who is going to deliver a talk on heart healthy diet, and Mr. Suman Chaudhary, who is going to entertain you with his cartoons in the perspective of this auspicious day. I extend my cordial welcome to all other invitees and participants of this celebration. Joy Hind, long live CSI. Thank you all, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Manoranjan Mondal. That was very brief and short and crisp. May I take the liberty of inviting Dr. Mrinal Kanti Das, President, CSI, to share his opening remarks on this World Heart Day. Dr. Das, please. Dr. Das, please.
Kindly unmute, sir.
Okay, you muted, that's why. Yeah, namaskar, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. I'm very happy to be part of this very, very important program, World Heart Day today. This is the first ever virtual World Heart Day program of CSI. In fact, life has become almost virtual courtesy COVID-19. This has been the new normal, and we have to live with it at least for the coming years. CAVD, cardiovascular disease, and COVID have almost become synonymous to influence the healthcare system today, which has been challenged by the pandemic. World Heart Day, of course, will be observed every year, virtually or physically, but the strong message of the day will remain same, that it is not a one-day program. It is not a one-day program. It's an everyday practice that will have to be inculcated by all the people, including health service providers, nurses, doctors, policymakers, pharmaceuticals, who have to fight together to bring down the morbidity and mortality associated with heart disease. Strict adherence to the principles of prevention in the form of primordial, primary, secondary, or tertiary is a must. What is better than your heart to beat heart disease? What is better than your heart to beat corona? Let us pledge to attack the heart attack. We in Cardiological Society of India have now captured a mammoth Indian data of 42,000 patients of heart disease collected by cardiologists from all across the country. This is an achievement for CSI. The idea behind such program is formulating strategy to prevent cardiac death and sufferings. Heart itself is a digital organ. The various facets which can be derived best by digitally and digital technology use, and they can turn actually the whole scenario to a better level of healthcare, by not only by diagnostics with the help of digital technology, but also therapeutics. We call it digital therapeutics. And this is the new paradigm. And let us give our hearts to allow our structural hearts to beat free from all ailments. I am thankful to the chief guest, Dr. Tapan Misra, and all other dignitaries on the dais for giving their valuable time to come to this virtual podium. In fact, I won't take much more time. I wish all the best of health and best of heart. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Dr. Das. This has been a very brief introductory remark. You've talked about data, you talked about digital way, and of course, we are just a beat away to take care of the common problems we all face. It's time now on this World Heart Day to invite Dr. P.P. Mohanan, the President-elect of CSI, to talk about the relevance of this program. Dr. Mohanan, please.
Dear friends, today, as we celebrate World Heart Day, we also crossed a grim milestone of crossing 1 million deaths from the pandemic. As per the information from the Johns Hopkins University, we crossed that landmark today. In India, we have almost more than 95,000 deaths. So this year is, if you remember, this year's slogan highlights the actions that every individual has to take to prevent and protect your heart. It's a grim situation that our country also is facing in matters of cardiovascular disease. We know that a sizable population, globally about 18 million people die from heart disease, and India has one of the largest number of it amongst them. So it is absolutely important that we take care of heart disease, prevent, control heart disease, and there is enough scope for us. We have to know that we have about 120 million smokers in our country, about more than 70 million diabetics in our country, 200 million hypertensives in the country. So every one of us, apart from the health professional, every individual has to strive hard to protect your heart, your family's heart, and your society's heart. So I wish the very best. The CSI, Cardiological Society of India, has been forthcoming, as our president mentioned, with many schemes to help the healthcare workers and the public at large. I wish these proceedings the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohanan. And I'm sure, as the president-elect, when you take on the mantle, you will also be pursuing very important programs to take care of the heart of people. It's time now that we play a short video from Dr. S.C. Kundu, Chairman, World Heart Day Committee. And may I request Raghu to play the video as a message to everyone.
Very dear colleagues, it is a great pleasure to be with you in a very abnormal global situation of coronavirus. In fact, when the World Heart Federation started the scheme in the year 2000, they had a target that in 25 years we should reduce the heart problems, heart disease globally by 25%. In 25%. That was the target that still stands. So my appreciation that in spite of very abnormal situation globally and in India also, our representative organizations and authorities of GSI, CSI, All India CSI and West Bengal CSI, they are actually observing the World Heart Day in the best possible way it can be done under such adverse prevailing circumstances. Thank you.
That was very brief message from Dr. Kundu. It's time now to look at heart healthy diet. And let me have the pleasure of inviting Ms. Malabika Datta, convener of Indian Association of Dietitian, Bengal chapter. We generally try to eat to our heart, but to what extent does it impact us is something she can be very good reflector of our home kitchen practices, our eating out practices, and the kind of cautions and precautions we need to take. May I welcome Ms. Datta, please.
Thank you, sir. I am audible, sir?
Yes, please.
I have one PPT, sir.
We have 4 minutes. I hope you'll be able to handle that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is visible, sir?
This is visible, surely, but you have a lot of text. So my request would be don't read the text, just share the high points so that we can finish everything in 4 minutes time, please. Thank you so much for cooperation.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Myself, Malabika Datta. I am very much thankful to Cardiological Society of India, Dr. Minalkanti Dash, Dr. Manoranjan Mondol, and Dr. Devibrata Roy. Today is the World Heart Day. In this occasion, I am going to discuss about the heart healthy diet. So, healthy eating and balanced diet is one of the most important thing you can do protect your health. In fact, up to 80% of the premature heart disease and stroke can be prevented through your healthy choices and habits. So, a healthy diet can help lower risk of heart disease and stroke by we can improve our cholesterol level, reducing our blood pressure, helping to manage the ideal body weight, and also the controlling our blood sugar. So we can incorporate some healthy habits in our daily life, like eating lots of vegetables and fruits. We are very much know vegetables and fruits are good source of vitamins, minerals, antioxidant, and rich source of dietary fiber. So we can incorporate every day lots of vegetables and fruits instead of high calorie foods such as meat, cheese, and snack food, and also fill half your plate with vegetables and fruits at every meal and snacks. Next, choosing whole grain fruits. We always choose instead of refined cereals, a whole grain cereals, because whole grain cereals are good source of fiber and other nutrients like proteins and B vitamins. We can incorporate as a cereal every day in our diet as brown rice, oatmeal, whole grain pasta, quinoa, brown bread, wheat bread, like that. So fill a quarter of your plate with whole grain foods. Next, choose always low fat protein sources. Protein foods include legumes, nuts, seeds, tofu, fish, low fat dairy products, and eggs are some of our best sources of protein. We always choose skim milk rather than whole milk, and always choose the lean chicken instead of fried chicken, lower fat yogurts and cheeses, lowering fat and sodium. So we can incorporate everyday fish in our plate. Fish is a rich source of omega-3 fatty acid, which can help to lower the blood fats, that is triglyceride. Highest amount of omega-3 fatty acid in cold water fish like salmon and mackerel, and also the flaxseed, walnuts, soybeans, and canola oil contain omega-3 fatty acids. So every day we can include this type of foods in our diet. We know that the protein helps to build and maintain bones, muscles, and skin. So fill a quarter of your plate with protein foods, and also the reduce the sodium in your food. Sodium is not a heart healthy diet. Healthy adults have no more than 2,300 milligram of sodium a day. About 1 teaspoon of salt you can allow in every day. So eating fresh foods, soups, and stews instead of canned and processed foods like soups, baked foods, and junk food, like that. And we are think the sea salt has the low nutritive value or low sodium content, but same nutritional value as regular salt. And we use the limit unhealthy fats. Limiting how much saturated and trans fats you eat is an important step to reduce your blood cholesterol and lower your risk of coronary heart artery disease. A high blood cholesterol level can lead to build up the plaques in our arteries, like called atherosclerosis, which can increase the risk of heart disease and strokes. So we choose always monounsaturated fatty acid like olive oil, canola oil, rice bran oil, sesame oil, like that, who are found in certain
30
fish,
seconds.
nuts, and seeds. Yes, sir. Don't use butter, back on fat, hydrogenated margarines, and always control your portion size. This is very important thing. How much you eat is just as important what you eat. Overloading your plate, that is not good for your health. Use a small plate or bowl to help control your portions. So incorporate these 6 tips in your life, and you will find the heart healthy eating is both doable and enjoyable with planning and a few simple substitutions you can eat with your heart in mind. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your cooperation. We are now into a T20 tournament, and right now the asking rate is around 24 runs and over. A lot many things have to be covered, so I'll request everyone to stick to the timelines. We are right now 4.5 minutes behind the schedule. Now it's the time when we talk about something very vital and what could be beautiful on a World Heart Day, where we are talking about CSI Healthy Heart Phone application. And to talk about that, may I request Dr. Debabrata Roy to come and speak for a minute, please.
Good morning to all the dignitaries and all know
Yeah, Dr. Roy.
presence of cardiovascular risk factors and cardiac disease itself makes a person more prone not only to COVID infection but more prone to death due to that infection. With this fact in mind, CSI has devised a, heart, a Happy Heart app, which will be available in the Google Play Store to guide the patient how to live a healthy lifestyle to prevent such episodes. May I request our mentor, our constant source of inspiration and encouragement, Dr. P.K. Dev, to describe the aims and objectives of this app in greater detail. Over to you, sir.
Uh, I am Dr. P.K. Deb. I will take this opportunity to install the CSI Healthy Happy Heart mobile app. It can be downloaded from Google Play Store. Oh, what is the purpose of this app? The purpose of this app is to know the risk profile of an individual between 20 to 79 years of age, because cardiovascular risk is very high in all over the world, particularly in South Asia where we live. So what is the risk profile? Risk profile may be more than 20%, it is called high risk, less than 5% is low risk, 5 to 7.5% is the borderline risk, and 7.5 to 20% is called intermediate risk. Depending upon the risk profile, the individuals are stratified and individuals are advised accordingly. So, and next is to initiate lifestyle measures and dietary recommendations to the individuals according to risk profile. And then to recommend consultation of a doctor according to risk profile, and to recommend periodic risk assessment according to risk profile. So low risk profile patients should go for periodic risk assessment maybe every 5 years. An intermediate risk profile group should reassess every 1 year. And people with high risk, they are already diseased, they should undergo treatment. So why this thing is being highlighted? I give you one story. The story is that in COVID-19 in USA, till date, only 210,000 people died. But last year in USA from cardiovascular disease, more than 6.5 lakh people died. So mortality from cardiovascular disease is more than twice the morbidity from COVID-19 in USA. And this is the profile everywhere in the world. So, for reasons unknown or for reasons known, we're highlighting COVID-19 much more. It is probably necessary right now. But death from cardiovascular disease is more than double the death from COVID-19, even in this highest peak of COVID-19 disease. So, we should be very much alarmed. We should be very much alert, because we should have been alert yesteryears, and we should be alert in years to come to prevent the development, incidence, prevalence of the cardiovascular disease among the society. And for that, each and every individual of the society should be conversant with what is the CVD risk, and CSI should be torchbearer to tell the society, each and every individual society, that you must know your risk, because it will help ultimately the country, it will help ultimately the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dev. This has been very short and a bit cautious introduction about the app. We need to be alert, not only today, but in all times to come. And such kind of apps do help, and CSI can actually play a very pivotal role starting on this World Heart Day. We are trying to rewrite a history through the application of technology. And it's time now that wherever you are, even put your hands together. Even your hand clapping may not be heard, but that's an aspect of giving appreciation to all the efforts which have gone about in creating an app which is going to be vital for everyone. May I request Dr. Mrinal Kanti Das to facilitate Dr. Tapan Mishra, and launch CSI Happy Heart application. Dr. Das, please.
Yes, I request Professor Tapan Mishra, who is the advisor to the ISRO chairman. He is one of the most technological persons ever possible in India, and he will be inaugurating the app, which is a technological advancement. Over to Dr. Tapan Mishra, please.
Thank you, Dr. Das. I think we'll take, without wasting much time, we take this opportunity to launch this app, and I hope somebody will be playing out that app here to see what is the content over there.
Wonderful,
Surely,
Dr. Tapan Mishra. This is going to be launched, and after it is launched, I'll be talking about you briefly before I invite you to make your chief guest address. Raghu, please. Are we going to have a demonstration, or we can go ahead straight away as conceive it as launched?
You may go ahead, sir, because the app is going to be in the Play Store from 1 p.m. onwards today.
All right, fine. So let us consider this as launched. Thank you very much, Professor Tapan Mishra.
So
facilitate.
I am sharing my.
So the visuals of the visuals of the app you can see in on the screen.
So this is the login screen.
So it's very apparently user friendly with less amount of text as any app should be, and therefore compliments to the entire team to conceptualizing it in a very simple manner so that people can understand.
Is the calculator BMI score.
Yep.
And this is a risk calculator factor.
The beauty of the app is risk stratification, mild, intermediate, and high risk. So that is being done precisely by the app, and that will guide how to lead your life, both in terms of lifestyle modification as well as the therapeutics with the help of drugs and devices and every other thing. Fantastic app.
Looks very impressive, sir. And Leonardo da Vinci had said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And presenting this in a very simple manner, you have actually brought together the sophisticated mindset which worked behind it for the benefit of the society. My compliments to everyone who's been working on it. My compliments to everyone in CSI who shall be advocating this from now onwards so that people at large, not only in India, but across the globe, could also benefit from it. Let's appreciate everyone's effort by clapping our hands together, please, putting our hands together. That'll be a wonderful.
I must congratulate Dr. Devabrata Roy for his initiative, and really is his brainchild, and I'm really happy that it has been launched today. No less than a technological person, Dr. Tapan Mishra.
Wonderful, sir. There is an old saying that you need lot many people to play an orchestra. So I understand with the names of the leaders who have been announced, there are also other people who are working behind it. So compliments to everyone who's worked under the leadership of our people. Now, may I now invite Professor Tapan Mishra to come and share his chief guest address. Professor Tapan Mishra is a corresponding member, IAA, Fellow IETE, Fellow ISRS. He is the Distinguished Scientist, Senior Advisor to Chairman ISRO, Adjunct Professor at IIT Kharagpur and IIT Jodhpur. He is the former Director, Space Application Center, ISRO, former Director, Physical Research Laboratory, former President, ISG, and former President, ISRS. What a impressive profile, Professor Tapan Mishra, and this is the time now to hear your words of wisdom on this important day, World Heart Day. Professor Mishra, please.
Good morning for the galaxy of cardiologists and experts in the field. I must congratulate you for releasing this app. Only I am afraid I am quite foodie. If it goes to my wife and my life will be quite difficult. I hope so. And I also would like to bring to your notice, that say COVID has brought out a big change. I don't know, it's a curse, but I think at the end of the day, it may come as a boon because it is already changed, and this change is going to remain, and that the world is going to a virtual way. I am afraid that tomorrow a new IIT will come, which will come in a virtual speed. I don't know whether a medical college can be brought in a virtual arena. Today, even the school children and aged people all and people from all professions, from politicians, doctors to engineers to scientists to common people, suddenly showed a tremendous resilience to adapt to new technology, adapt to new way of doing things. It will have a repercussion of real estate and all. And I am also seeing that many hospitals, but I have also that they're carrying out consultation on a virtual, and it is going to stay. In fact, in ISRO, we tried to inculcate virtual education and telemedicine for almost last 40 years, and we are having a not so much success. But one COVID, and you see the world is changed. And I am looking at it, this tomorrow probably will have a medical kiosk with a rudimentary minimum testing facilities which will connect to the doctors on remote and getting consultation. And probably that tomorrow that instrumentation will be IoT based, that when you take a temperature, it will be straightway connected to net. When you take a blood pressure, it will be connecting to the net. And this will be the arena in which our doctors will have to work in future. And they say doctor's life is already very miserable. They are under tremendous pressure to see patients. And now they will be a 24 hours doctors. And that will be difficult change in lifestyle and work. And second thing, that I have been observing, this, we are all looking at a hard day and this heart issues would like to address from physiological point of view, nutritional point of view, and a behavioral point of view. But in my experience with working with an engineers and the scientists for a long time, I feel that the social stress, family stress, and the work level stress, these are to be addressed. I think that when we treat cardiologically patients, probably that we have to treat him psychologically. I think these aspects, if we can address it, it will be better because I have seen, I don't know, people are stressed because that they cardiologically they have a poor condition or they are stressed. That is why they are cardiologically poor. It may be chicken egg problem. But I have seen invariably that the cardiovascular problems are related to uh, in a working field. It has a good correlation to the mental peace and mental ability and resilience to take the stress in the life. And I conclude here. I wish all the success to the to cardiologist fraternity. They have a tough time ahead because from my experience, because my son also got COVID, my many colleagues, they have also expired in the COVID, and they have this difficulties. I could see that you can get well out of the COVID, but it comes with a lasting physical changes, especially lungs, hearts, and renal condition. And what will be the repercussion? Those who survived on them, what will be the repercussion in future? We really do not know. We have to see in future, and this is a great terror we have to handle. And I hope this disease goes off very fast and we come back to the normal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Tapan Mishra. Your words are very encouraging, but at the same time putting across the cautious note in terms of what all we collectively need to do. CSI has been doing a phenomenal work, and even with Doctors for Clean Air initiative, which is a part of Lung Care Foundation activity, CSI has been working very, very closely for a common cause. Thank you so much, sir. And may I request Dr. Masihur Rahman from Bangladesh in case he has joined us. Dr. Das. Dr. Das, do we have the news about?
Call upon him. If he does not respond, then go to the next dignitary.
Sure, sir. Sure. So, Dr. Masihur Rahman was supposed to join us. He was the economist and chief economic advisor to the government of Bangladesh. but it appears that he has not been able to join us. So may I now invite Dr.
I'm here with you.
Sir,
Okay,
you there?
okay.
I'm so
Sir,
sorry, sir.
namaskar, sir. Sir,
It's a
namaskar.
pleasure. It's a pleasure to receive you here, sir. So would you like to share your kind words, please? Dr. Masihur Rahman, please.
Thank you. I thank the CSI for inviting me on this occasion. I'm quite awed. Can I speak to this such an august body? But let me try to say something that I thought I felt it is important. Health has been recognized as an important economic good. Uh, Health and education produces a more productive, more efficient worker. But health is also recognized increasingly as a positive social right. Positive right differs from individual private right in the sense that it is collectivist. You need to provide it for the human group and not for individuals. The individuals would have their particular health problems. It seems to me that social rights can materialize in an enlightened and tolerant society and in a state that cares for well-being of the citizens. It doesn't make sense to talk about rights, even at the highest pitch of your voice, in a periodic state or in a society where rights are violated impunity or where politics is dealing from a stable set of ideology. Let me look at the kind of health policies that perhaps we would need. Health service will need to adapt to the demographic transition that most developing countries are now going through. It will increase the large work cohort, increase aging dependent population, reduce dependent child population. Also, in the next 2-3 decades, these countries will have declining population and shrinking workforce. As the workforce shrinks, it becomes necessary to provide sufficient nutrition as well as education to children so that they can grow up as productive workforce and be competitive in a globalized world. In the demographic process, all of us would live longer. And don't be jealous that women will have a few years longer than men. So they need special care in childhood and also through their reproductive age. Unless that is done, their pain in the old age becomes acute and it also becomes a larger burden on the society. The expansion and improvement of health services in most countries have been financed privately by investment by corporate bodies or charities. Corporate investment in health services competes with investment in other sectors. It is necessary to adjust tax on corporate health investment such that investment cost is not attracted to other sectors for higher profit. Their investment has to compete with profits in other sectors of the economy. In order that corporate health services units keep charge moderate, income tax relief also may be considered subject to enforcement of moderate rates and effective monitoring. In most countries, charities enjoy tax benefits. Law and policy should channel investment by charities into sectors which have high social return and provide important public service. Tax on the income should be so designed as to avoid neutralizing the benefit of tax relief they have had before. Insurance coverage for rural population presumes adequate and quality health facilities provided by the private sector in rural areas, which also have easy access to services in accessible urban locations. The government needs to provide adequate and efficient health service for rural population dispersed over large areas. Health insurance may work in urban areas. It may be designed with flexibility that people may buy the basic package at low or moderate price, and there is option to buy larger packages at higher prices. It is worth consideration whether all urban private health facilities be covered by insurance schemes for which government may supplement premium according to income level of the policyholders. Obama healthcare is an example how contested the whole thing can be. Research in health and pharmaceuticals may be carried on by government institutions as well as private research bodies. It's very important. Monitoring research may be entrusted to a body of professionals who have high level of training and integrity. Further, I would suggest that research funded by business may be located in separate legal bodies so that the two do not get mixed up, which will help keep separate accounts, operational data, and oversight by the professional bodies. The corona pandemic has taught us that health service is a global public good. The Prime Minister of Bangladesh recently said made that statement.
So
the world can benefit from and needs badly corporate cooperation. Foreign investment and technical collaboration can help rapid improvement of healthcare quality, particularly in those countries where the quality is still not very high. Policies should facilitate movement of medical knowledge and professional across borders. It is wrong to think that the medical professional knowledge can be passed on uh, without practically getting them involved in performing the task. Finally, the government along with public authorities must invest in public health. In fact, government is the main institution to make such investment. The proponents of social medicine validly argue that unhygienic condition of living is the cause of disease which leads to poverty. Hygienic improvement of the living environment is a tall order that involves, at the minimum, planned urban development and containment of slums, decent employment, working conditions, wage, and provision of
So-
civil services to plant, rural settlement. Absent public health, medicine alone cannot help. Let me thank again, but before I quit,
So thank you so much. This has been a wonderful, exhaustive.
express my appreciation for the apps that we have discovered, invented. I presume that this also become part of the global public service with adequate compensation for those who have spent their energy. Thank again for inviting.
Thank you so much, sir.
It's,
Thank you
it's a
so
part of the global thing, sir. It is available at www.csi.org.in, and it can be downloaded from Google Play also. Thank you, sir. For joining
Thank you,
from-
Dr. Rahman. Thank you, Dr. Das. This has been very exhaustive, wonderfully presented, Dr. Rahman. When an economist speaks, all the governments start to listen much more effectively, and I'm sure the efforts of all the doctors will find real good solutions through all the ideas that you have shared. It's time now for a faster movement in our process. We are running behind the schedule, and now let me have the pleasure of inviting Dr. K.K. Po from Singapore. He is the Associate Professor, Yonglu Lin School of Medicine, NUS, Senior Consultant Cardiologist, National University Heart Center, Singapore. He's a chair-elect and steering committee member of American College of Cardiology, AIG, and he has also been the past president, Singapore Cardiac Society. May I have the pleasure of inviting Dr. Po, please?
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Das, President CSI, Dr. Benda, Dr. Mohanan, Dr. Kundu. Thank you for organizing this virtual World Heart Day program. Today, COVID has already claimed 1 million lives. This is far more than flu, malaria, cholera, and measles combined together. It has also, as you heard, strained the health system and driven the economies into recession and caused lots of millions of job loss. In India, it has affected 6 million individuals. Today, I'm, however, heartened by the awesome effort by the CSI in putting in despite COVID-19, and I remain optimistic that eventually we will defeat COVID-19. The American College of Cardiology chapter for India is designated Distinguished Chapter. This is the highest tier to be awarded to any chapter. So congratulations. Besides the US itself, India has the largest number of ACC members, with almost 5,000 of you as members. One of the most important message that we at the ACC decide to disseminate is that cardiovascular disease remains an important condition and patients should continue to obtain therapy and treatment, even with COVID around. So far, heart attack, heart failure symptoms, patients should seek help from cardiologists and the heart team who will administer the most up-to-date guideline-directed therapy appropriate for the patients. So COVID has actually affected everyone, and including the heart, in many ways. Elevated troponins and NT-proBNP portends poorer prognosis in COVID patients. COVID may result in acute myocardial infarction, STEMI, myocarditis that looks like STEMI, but when you cath the patient, the coronaries are clear, stress cardiomyopathy, non-ischemic cardiomyopathy, coronary spasm, or just myocardial injury. So all this can happen. Myocarditis in the most severe extent, resulting in severe heart failure requiring ECMO therapy may also occur. Indeed, developing countries bear the brunt of COVID and cardiovascular disease in a majority of ways, and it is a double whammy for them. But it is through education and research and knowledge that we will eventually conquer COVID-19 and COVID-related fears. Both the CSI and the ACC, through virtual programs, will continue to educate and collaborate. So I wish the CSI and India the very best in your program, in protecting your doctors, your cardiologists, staff, patients, as well as their families, and in breaking new grounds in both education and research. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Po. This was a very good international flavor that you have brought to the entire discussion. We really appreciate that. And before I invite Professor Arindam Banik, may I alert Mr. Suman Chaudhary to be ready, because we are going to be having a live demonstration of a cartoon making in 2 minutes time relating to heart and COVID. And now let me have the honor of inviting Professor Arindam Banik. He is from Delhi School of Economics. He's a distinguished professor from International Management Institute, New Delhi. He's a professor and director of IMI Kolkata, and he's the editor of Global Business Review, Sage Publications. Very briefly, Professor Arindam Banik, please.
Dr. Tapan Mishra, Dr. Mrinal Kanti Das, Dr. Mandal, Dr. Khurana, and other dignitaries, good morning. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. I'm an economist, so I will try to understand the perspective in the context of an economic perspectives, and why it is so serious, and why it is actually worldwide a South Asian specific problem. And then I try to sort out that what are the possible solutions so far trade liberalizations is concerned. Now, I will share some of the data here. According to the recent data, estimated prevalence of cardiovascular diseases in India was estimated to be 54.5 million. 1 in 4 deaths in India are now because of CVDs. There are 2 categories, ischemic heart disease and a stroke, responsible for more than 80% of this burden. Now, we talk about the South Asia in US condition. heart diseases is a leading killer of all adults, most of the adults worldwide, and more specifically among the South Asians. The second fastest growing ethnic group in America have a higher death rate from the disease than any other ethnic group. People of South Asian descent in USA, which includes India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, and Maldives, have 4 times the risk of heart disease compared to the general population as they develop the disease up to a decade earlier. Now, what are the general symptoms? Why it is actually a South Asia specific problem in recent time? Now, if you try to see, the South Asian tend to develop high blood pressure, high triglycerides, abnormal cholesterol, type 2 diabetes at lower body weights, and other groups. South Asian men are more prone, according to data, to high levels of coronary artery calcium, a marker of doctor will say whether I'm pronouncing it correctly or not, atherosclerosis, and can be an early harbinger of future heart attacks and strokes. This discrepancy plays out in their dietary behaviors. Almost 40% Indians are vegetarian, a common practice in India that is widely regarded in the West as heart healthy. But vegetarians who eat traditional South Asian food like fried snacks, sweetened beverages, and high-fat dietary products were found to have more cardiovascular health, and who eat what the researchers call a prudent diet with more fruits, vegetable, nuts, beans, and whole grains. For example, non-vegetarian fish, chicken. People who eat a Western style diet with red and processed meat, alcohol, defined carbohydrates, pure fruit, vegetables were also found to have more metabolic and risk factor. Since it appears it's a South Asia specific in recent time, what are the situations, structural situations about these countries I have cited? And you must have seen, when we are reading recently, this January, I published a book on this aspect from the Springer. What we found out actually, the cost of diseases, so for cardiovascular diseases are concerned, so for countries are concerned, there are small countries and the big countries. So I call India's neighborhood.
40 seconds, sir.
Yeah, costs are very high, and many countries actually resolve that issue. So CARICOM, for example, Latin American, for example, they have resolved the issue of why patients are only moving. Doctors can also move, technical people can move from one country to another, provided there are friendlier tax treatment, there are friendlier foreign investment situations, there are friendlier movement of the natural person defined by the doctors and other technical peoples. Most of the problems, if you see the Caribbean countries or Latin America, I have seen those things in those countries. Cost are high, then allowing them people to move out, so that that it's not as a high cost so far as small country is concerned. I have a feeling.
Kindly unmute yourself, sir.
Oh God. Leaders in South Asia should have some kind of policy resolving the WTO's mode 2-3, where natural person move, tax treatments is proper, labor can move without any employment certificate or permit or something like that, the way CARICOM and other countries have resolved it. Perhaps that would be the best solution so far South Asian problems are concerned. And this is the right time to take this kind of decision so far South Asian leaders are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful. And it's time now to actually see the art form by Mr. Suman Chaudhary, who's going to actually present in less than 2 minutes' time a live cartoon making, which will be linking heart and corona together. Over to Suman, please. We are really running against time right now.
Thank you so much. I believe you can hear me. This is our heart, and we all love our heart, and we can only do justice, if we take care of our heart, and in this pandemic situation, wearing a mask and keeping social distancing, these things are going to help us. And a very healthy diet, if we follow, that is very essential. Little bit of exercises.
That's a wonderful demonstration happening right now. Whatever doctors are talking about, someone is trying to actually depict it in the art form. And there's an artist in every doctor's heart also. Suman, good job going.
So we can fight corona if we take care of our heart. We can just fight anything and everything. It depends on us, how we lead our life. It depends on our lifestyle. And we always have come out successful. Victory will be ours as before also. So can say, I love my heart. Let's take care of our heart properly and fight it. Thank you, CSI. Thank you, doctors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suman Chaudhary. Wonderfully depicted, and we really appreciate the artistic reflection of what the doctors are talking about. And I've been also told that we must keep saying to ourselves, it's just a beat away. And this has been a phenomenal activity. And we started 2 minutes late, but in the process, we have lost around 4 more minutes. So let's get into the next section of Q&A, the panel discussion, and we should be moving much faster. Time now that I invite in the panel all the magnitude of experts who are present on the panel. Last I was told 1512 people have logged in. So a lot number of people are watching us, and they'll be looking forward to very brief answers to the questions I should be posting. May I request Dr. Mrinal Kanti Das to make his chairman's comment before I start asking specific questions, please. Dr. Das, please.
Thank you, Mr. Khurana. And CSI has started this World Heart Day program since 2000, when the first World Heart Day was started. And CSI headquarters is at Kolkata. And naturally, the whole focus was on Kolkata, even at that point of time. And I have another co-chairperson, Dr. P.S. Banerjee, with me, and also a host of panelists who are all stalwarts in cardiology. And they will be speaking on various aspects, but the key message from the President of Cardiological Society of India, that is myself, that take care of your heart. It's your heart which will be protecting the structural heart. Give your heart so that you can get a better heart. And that's the essence of the whole World Heart Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Das. And with a very strong-hearted people on the panel today, right now, let me just start shooting questions, and also I'll be expecting very brief answers so that I should be in a position to cover as many as possible within the stipulated time. My first question goes to Dr. P.S. Banerjee. And the question is, Dr. What is the relevance of 25 by 25 pledge by World Heart Federation, and how far have we progressed? Dr. Banerjee, please.
Good morning, all the dignitaries. So this is a project actually first started by United Nations in 2011, and they have engaged the World Heart Federation, American Heart Association, and other regulatory bodies to work on the reducing the premature death from cardiovascular disease and the stroke by 25% within the year 2025. And in achieving that, they have said that you have to reduce the risk factors like increased body mass index, diabetes, hypertension, smoking, etc. And actually, these risk factors depend on the regional basis. So in high-income countries, the body mass index is very important. In low-income countries, again, the smoking, diabetes, these are all very important. But as a whole, you have to tackle the hypertension, diabetes, body mass index, your diet and smoking to tackle these issues, because these death from non-communicable diseases constitutes about 5 million all over the globe. And this is 50% of the total death from the non-communicable disease. So if you can reduce the lifestyle modification and achieving all the risk factors correction, you can achieve the target by 2025. That means reducing the death in the premature people by 2025, correcting the blood pressure, diabetes, body weight, smoking, etc. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. My next question goes to Dr. H.K. Chopra. Doctor, could you define what are primordial, primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention generally?
Thank you, Rajiv. I think it's a brilliant question. Prevention is the only solution to beat the CVD and to have a healthy heart. Primordial is the nomenclature given as a strategy for prevention or taking on prevention of emerging risk factors. And once it has emerged, then how to reduce it is primary prevention. And then comes when the disease is set in, what we should do to prevent the progress of the disease is secondary prevention. And the tertiary prevention is when the disease is set in, how to prevent the disability. I firmly believe that these four strategies are very, very important. Primordial, primary, secondary, and tertiary. I firmly believe that CSI should be an apostle, epitome, and crusader of prevention. Because prevention is a large ocean which can create a huge impact in globally through these strategies. We must move digitally, locally, locally, and globally. With the prevention and fitness mantra, we can perform, reform, inform, and transform the whole world with a healthy heart. Thank you, sir.
That's wonderful, Dr. Chopra. In a very brief manner, you have actually brought in multiple perspectives which are really worth appreciated. Thank you so much. And time now to invite Dr. Arvind Kumar, my elder brother, because of whom I am here. He is the founder and managing trustee of Lung Care Foundation, and Doctors for Clean Air is one of the prime initiative of Lung Care Foundation. He's been fighting a lot of battle against air pollution. So the question is, Dr. Arvind, what is the role of air pollution in cardiovascular diseases, and how can we fight the menace of air pollution to protect our hearts, please?
Thank you, Rajiv, and heartiest congratulations to Cardiological Society of India from Doctors for Clean Air on this World Heart Day. It is now known that apart from the well-known and well-established risk factors which have been enumerated so many times, one of the factors which is contributing to the increasing cardiovascular mortality, and I would be quoting data from the WHO website, they say in 1 out of every 4 mortality due to cardiovascular disease, air pollution is a significant contributing factor. So the role of air pollution in contributing to increased cardiovascular mortality, whether it is accelerated increased incidence of hypertension in our children to increased incidence of heart attacks. And it is known that areas which have very high levels of PM 2.5, and particularly when there are peaks of 2.5, there is an increased incidence of cardiac mortality. So I would conclude by pleading with all my dignified cardiologists from across the country that, sirs, it is a time when all of us have to use our collective wisdom and might to inform the people that pollution is playing an important role in causing cardiovascular mortality, and plead with them for actions which will achieve clean air. So I invite all of them to contribute to this platform through the Doctors for Clean Air, which is just meant for addressing the issue of air pollution. Thank you, Rajiv.
Thank you very much for your igniting thoughts and also the invitation to all the doctors to join the crusade of Doctors for Clean Air. My next question moves to Dr. M. Somasundaram. Doctor, how cardiometabolic diseases influence the course of the CVD in terms of morbidity and mortality? Doctor Somasundaram.
I don't think he's there.
No problems. Let me take the liberty of moving to Dr. A.K. Sinha. Doctor, what are the principles of S for CVD prevention? Salt, sugar, stress, smoking, SBP, saturated fat, sedentary habits, and obesity. Dr. Sinha, please. Is he there, sir?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. This is a very common kind of question which is asked every now and then.
Sure.
And we are sitting on the volcano of cardiovascular scenario. We all know. And then two days back on Sunday, we had a preventive cardiology meet all over the country from the national meeting. And this was the one of the issue discussed by Dr. Manchanda. So salt is the biggest killer, I would say. It raises our blood pressure, and it is said that if you reduce 1 gram of salt across the globe, you can save millions of lives just by reducing salt. So our objective should be to reduce the salt. And in like Finland, they reduced the salt and found 10% fall of blood pressure. And WHO also recommends that 30% cut in salt is required to cut down the menace of cardiovascular disease and hypertension particularly. Then comes the sugar. Sugar is the biggest killer. Like all the white things like sugar, salt, and they are very, very, very bad. And it provides you empty calorie. It doesn't provide you fiber or anything protective to protect your heart or cardiovascular system. So so sugar has to be cut down to a minimal level or no sugar at all. Even if you're not diabetic, the message is sugar is not required at all. And then comes the smoking. All of us know that smoking is an extremely important factor, particularly the passive smoking. And I would say that passive smoking is extremely important. And secondly, now tobacco chewing. That's a very important thing. In villages, you find people are having an acute myocardial infarction. Why? At the age of 30 years. A young guy having a heart attack because of tobacco. So tobacco is a very important issue. And then sedentary lifestyle is extremely bad. It is said that for every 20 minutes of sitting in the chair, you must have 8 minutes of activity and 2 minutes of like brisk activity. So that will keep you warming up. And obesity is a big issue. That 50% of women, more than that, in India, they are obese. So obesity raises blood pressure. Obesity brings all those inflammatory changes in the body, which causes a lot of vascular diseases all over. So that's a very important issue now. So these 6 S, they are dangerous for the cardiovascular system. And I think this message should go to nook and corner of the country, and do and don'ts about cardiovascular disease should be there, printed on every clinic, every hospital, every nook and corner of the country. Thank you, sir.
The 6X. And then the right person to answer the 6S is S for Dr. Sinha. Thank you very much, Dr. Sinha, for sharing all this. And now let me just move on to Dr. Deepak Sharma. Is he there, please? Dr. Deepak Sharma? Now let me just request the person first before I ask the question. Would you say yes, Dr. Deepak Sharma? He's not there. Okay. Then let me move the mantle to Dr. BP Singh, who's here. Dr. BP Singh, please. Third and final call, Dr. BP Singh. All right. And of course, we have a very smiling face of Dr. G.S. Wanda looking at the camera. And let me take the honor of asking you the question, sir. Where did we fail in controlling the SBP, an important RF for CVT? What are the issues related to lack of awareness, compliance, and adherence to the management of hypertension and thus CVD? Dr. Gurpreet.
Well, as has been emphasized earlier, hypertension is a major risk factor for brain stroke and for heart attacks. The InterHeart study showed us that almost 25% of heart attacks are due to hypertension, and almost half of brain strokes are due to high blood pressure. And everybody knows that hypertension is so prevalent. 1 in 4 individuals in the whole world suffers from high blood pressure. And the Indian guidelines for hypertension say that whenever the blood pressure is beyond 140 by 90, 140 systolic and 90 diastolic, we call it hypertension. It is a silent problem unless someone goes to his GP, his doctor nearby, and gets his blood pressure checked. One would not know what your blood pressure is. And that's what we teach our students and tell our patients also, that please emphasize on the general public to get their blood pressures checked, because we have seen in our country, in the urban areas, only 20% of the people have their blood pressures well controlled, and only 10% of the ruralites have their blood pressure. So the biggest problem with hypertension is, since it does not cause symptoms to an individual, one feels that I do not need medicines. But it needs to be emphasized actually to tell them that this is a kind of an investment they are making for the future, because they will not have the consequences of hypertension in the form of chronic kidney disease, brain stroke, heart attack, peripheral vascular disease. All these are target organ damages which happen due to hypertension. So good control of hypertension and patients' participation, which goes with the theme of today's World Heart Day, that people have to participate in their treatment. It's not always that doctors are emphasizing on them that they should be compliant with their medicines, but they should be concerned and should be taking their medicines regularly once they have their blood, along, of course, with the lifestyle measures that we emphasize. And salt restriction was emphasized so beautifully by my previous speaker.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. You were definitely highlighting the dimension of being proactive from the people perspective, and that should pay in the long way. Now, let me just move to Dr. P.G. Kerkar, please. Is he there, Dr. P.G. Kerkar? Yeah, Praful Kerkar. Yes, sir. Dr. Saab, a very pointed question to you. There's an old saying, attack is the best part of defense. So the question is, how to attack the heart attack when a person meets the first medical contact? What best the FMC can do?
Before I talk about what the first medical contact can do, we have to use your heart to beat the heart disease. That's the
Wonderful.
slogan of the day.
Sure.
And let us also first understand from a patient perspective, when you get symptoms which are typical of a heart attack, and if you have sensed it as being a heart attack, then immediately report to a place where an ECG can be done. Not only that, an ECG can be interpreted, rather than waste time on calling up this one, calling up that one, or otherwise. So that's why there are these 108 ambulances, the numbers, 911 abroad, we have 108 ambulance to immediately get the patient to the place where heart attack can be attacked. So having said that, the first medical contact, which is a healthcare personnel, if it's in an emergency ambulance with a facility to take an ECG, then that becomes the first personnel. But by and large, in our scenario, when it's outside the hospital, it is a general practitioner who has taken an ECG, or a diagnostic center that's taken an ECG. Now, that's the time zero. What happens when there is a heart attack? There is a blood clot that's formed within the artery supplying blood to the heart, and sudden cutoff of the blood supply. So the best form of attack would be to somehow start thinking in your mind that I have to get this clot busted. Busted two ways, either by a clot dissolving medication, which we call as thrombolysis, or by way of rushing him to a place where there is a cath lab facility to take him into the cath lab, pass a guide wire down into that artery, blow a balloon there, and implant a stent. And somehow timeliness of reperfusion is at the back of your mind. That is one aspect. That is why we call this as first medical contact, is the time zero. Now, from that time zero, there are other timelines. We have within 10 minutes time, a timeline for an ECG to be taken, and not only taken, but interpreted and ruling out from other causes of chest pain that this is a heart attack. That decision is taken. Once you have clearly made a decision that this is heart attack, then yes, patient is having severe pain, right? So for the pain, you have to give IV opioids or intravenous morphine for that matter. His anxiety has to be allayed, and drugs like benzodiazepines, diazepam, and alprazolam. These could be given. But the all-important thing, even before this, is to give a clot-dissolving a blood thinner in the form of chewable aspirin. That aspirin ought to be chewable so that it's instantaneously dissolved and starts acting rapidly. So that is what it is. The other blood thinner that generally tend to be given once you have decided what kind of therapies subsequently will follow is clopidogrel. Or there are other blood thinners also, but the clopidogrel is most commonly used on the field, if it is to be said. In the emergency room, it's a different matter. Then all important is somehow get this patient immediately. That's in fact even preceding. As soon as you're taken an ECG, you should have the facility to continuously monitor the patient's ECG, and you should have the capacity or capabilities to use a shocking device, a defibrillator, so that because during the first few hours, the maximum things that happen, the lost lives due to heart attack are due to ventricular arrhythmias that we cause. And as soon as when the arrhythmia occurs, the heart, so to say, electrical activity persists, but the heart fails or heart stops.
Jesus.
So that is when you have to be having the capability to immediately shock the patient till the transfer is achieved to the place where the clot-busting therapies can be offered to the patient.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kerkar. In a very brief manner, you have actually summarized all the steps that needs to be taken. Really, I appreciate your knowledge, wisdom, and experience. And if Dr. Rakesh Yadav is here, may I ask him the next question, which is going to be very vital in terms of digital world. Dr. Rakesh Yadav, are you there, please? Dr. Rakesh Yadav? Okay, now let me take the liberty of moving to Dr. Girav Zakaria. And sir, the question directly to you is, you have done a marvelous job of collecting data of heart attack patients during COVID scenario. This is the first of its kind IBCSI's history. Congratulations, sir. Could you highlight some of the observations relevant in cardiac disease prevention, please?
Okay. Now, 6 million Indians have already had the COVID. And the COVID and the resulting lockdown has impacted acute myocardial infarction care in India. So we wanted to, world over, there has been a reduction in the number of acute MI admissions from Germany, from Italy, from US, but we wanted to look at the data from India. So what we did was we compared the admission pattern for acute myocardial infarction in the COVID era from March 15th to June 15th, 2020, and a corresponding period in the previous year, 2019. And 22 chapters of CSI actually participated in this study. And the total 198 hospitals all across India, right from Northeast to Kerala and Maharashtra, Gujarat, Ahmedabad, 198 hospitals. And what we found was that when compared to 2019, the 2020 during the COVID era, there is a 35% reduction in the admissions for MI. So somehow or other, people are not able to come to hospitals for their acute myocardial infarction care. And we looked at the different hospitals, predominantly in Bombay and Delhi, there was more than 55% reduction in acute MI admissions during the COVID era. Now, we try to analyze this, why these people are not coming. Is it because of the fear of getting infection with COVID, or whether they are not able to come to the hospital because of the lockdown, or the decrease in the air pollution whether benefited people and people have less acute MI, or whether the changed lifestyle due to the COVID has altered it. And what we have found that the initial weeks of the lockdown, that the initial 8 weeks, the reduction in the acute MI admission was very prominent, up to 52% reduction in the week 6. However, since when the lockdown was relaxed and towards the 13-week end of the study, the reduction in the acute MI admission for 14% only, showing that the reduction in acute MI admissions in India during the COVID era is largely because of the effects of lockdown and not because of the effects of the fear of the infection. So the message is very clear. The message is we should tell the public that there is no reason why you should delay admission to the for with acute MI to the hospital. The hospitals are equipped with good care. We are taking good care to prevent cross-infection with COVID in all cardiology care hospitals in India. So there's no need to be afraid. And it is important, as Dr. Prafulla also mentioned, that time is important. So come to the hospital at the earliest when you develop symptoms of heart disease.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zakaria. This is really useful. And now let me just move to Dr. K.C. Goswami. I'm running against time. Dr. Goswami, you're there, please? Dr. Goswami, Dr. K.C. Goswami. My last and final request, Dr. K.C. Goswami, please. Okay, then let me just move to Dr. P.P. Mohanan, sir. And very briefly, how do you look at CSI to lead the war against CVD in India? Dr. Mohanan, please.
I possibly has a long wish list. But anyway, every one of our erudite panelists has talked about the importance of risk factors in contributing the huge preponderance of cardiovascular disease in India. So the most important thing that the Cardiological Society as a group has to do is educating the public about the importance of these risk factors and how to protect their heart. So that is one way of, and you can do it in very many ways. Time will not permit me to say everything about that. The second most important part is the educating the healthcare workers also, especially our fellows in training. We are very good in treating patients, but we spend hardly any time, even in the curriculum, there is hardly anything which gives stresses on the importance of prevention. So we have to change that, and we have to educate our healthcare workers on that. And thirdly, and possibly finally, I will want the Cardiological Society to sit with every policy makers in our country, and it could be the leading light on advising the government and the regulatory authorities to discuss about the importance of cardiovascular prevention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohanan. Time's running out, so let me just ask the last question to my similar sounding name. So here's a question for Dr. Rajiv Rana from Rajiv Khurana. Doctor,
Thanks,
how
Rajiv.
can the industry and professional organizations like CSI work synergistically for the benefit of the people with primary aim of eradicating cardiovascular disease, please?
Right, so I think, this entire program was a big eye-opener. There were so many beautiful messages that came out from this varied audience. I think, messages around collaboration, especially, the public-private partnerships. And I would count industry as a private organization, CSI as a private organization. And here, I think, in order to expand the reach of the deliverables, like, for example, the Happy Heart app, I think, here there is a need to also collaborate with public, and that's essentially, government organizations, so that the message gets across to a larger audience. And here we are looking at, an access to approximately 800 million patients or people across India, which can definitely be enabled through this collaboration. We have already seen in the COVID world that, collaboration has taken the world ahead when it comes to research around the vaccines, for example. So I think, the power of we is really very strong. And I think, there is a lot of opportunity to collaborate with industry when it comes to education, building public awareness, and then also in terms of research. I think that is one aspect, since we are already in the era of wearable devices, and someone did mention that we are already talking about the Internet of Things. I would want to put it as the Internet of Medical Things. I think today there's a lot of opportunity that people are already on devices and, using a lot of apps. And I think there is a huge potential here to make sense out of all the data that is available. So real world evidence, providing real world insights that can then aid in clinical decision making. So I think this kind of partnership can be fostered, on the education front and also on the research front between industry and associations like CSI.
Thank you, Dr. Rajiv Rana. This has been wonderful. And this was the last question. And time's running out, and I'm known for being a stickler of time, and we haven't done badly in terms of the timeline. If I were to actually summarize the 5 important takeaways from the entire webinar, I will talk about 5 things. And I'm very fond of creating acronyms, so I'm using the word HEART, and I'm taking each alphabet to summarize what all has happened. What we have discussed are 5 important pointers. H, humane. We need to look at it in a very humanistic manner. Second, E, we have the responsibility to educate the general public so that they act in a more proactive manner. A, we need to focus more on the actions rather than just doing talk. So humane, educate, actions, and we have a collective responsibility to rejuvenate the entire country and also have influences across the globe. And finally, T, transform the way people are treated, the heart is looked at, and the way we work along with other organizations, including Doctors for Clean Air, and from Lung Care Foundation point of view, I give a commitment that our organization would work, as in the past, very closely with CSI to really, with full heart, to work towards the major objectives of CSI. With this, I would like to just close it and share some of the thanks which are very, very vital to convey. And of course, I must use the phrase, just a beat away. And my special thanks to all the dignitaries in the inaugural function. Special thanks to Dr. Debrata Roy for arranging for the big names and also conceptualizing of the CSI Happy Heart app. Lung Care Foundation also talks about happy, healthy lungs. All the participants for the panel discussion, specifically Professor Sanjoy Tyagi and many of the people, I'm sorry, because of paucity of time, I'll not be in a position to take all the names. All India CSI EC members, all the CSI West Bengal members, thanks to the app developers, thanks to Dr. Rajiv Rana of Merck for making his time to participate as well as supporting the cause of CVD. Thanks to Raghu and his team from Medicom Solutions for all the technical support. And of course, thank you to Times of India, FM radio channel, other print media. And let me tell you, all these thanks are absolutely meaningless if the audience is not there. And if the audience is there with their big heart, it's time now to absorb the lessons and take it to the world. Thank you very much. Let me sign off from here. My name is Rajiv Khurana, and over to Dr. M.K. Das.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rajiv Khurana, for beautifully anchoring the whole session, 1.5 hour session. And I think all of the people, as well as the cardiologists, physicians who have attended this meeting, they have been benefited. And the message should percolate amongst everyone, all across the country, as well as across the globe. So with that particular aim that the message will percolate everywhere and we'll be having a happy, healthy heart, and we'll be also encouraging others to have the happy, healthy heart. So with that tone, with that message, we are concluding this particular session on World Heart Day. And I think we'll be having more of these kind of programs. And you just log on to CSI org.in, www.csi.org.in to have all the informations. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Namaste.
Thanks to Mr. Khurana for nicely conducting the meeting.
Sorry, sir.
Thank you very much for nicely conducting the meeting.
Thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate it.